The strange. Natural and unexplained phenomena. Spiritual activity. Cryptids.
The future and the past.
Conspiracies. Beliefs and ancient remains. The radio program for you, the listener, in bringing your stories and concerns to the table. And now your host, Dave Cruz.
All right, welcome guys to this test show.
What's up?
Everything should be recording perfectly. How y'all doing tonight? How you doing, Steph?
Everything's doing great, gentlemen.
Awesome. We have our producer holographic with us.
How's things on your side of the country today, Mike?
Oh, it's busy. That's for sure. Just staying busy. That's all I can say. Hey, Steve, I don't know if you've talked to our producer holographic, but she's in the Hangouts.
Hi, Steve.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
It's fine.
I'm so excited about you being on the show. It's going to be awesome. I love to hear you when you call
Yes,
in
it
to
is.
Jimmy's.
When you call in for
Thank
Jimmy.
you. And I love this. You know, this is a good subject too that Les has brought up. I've been wanting to talk about this for quite some time now.
Oh, good.
Absolutely. I sent each and every one of you the document and the shortened version with the highlights. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at it or not.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. What do you guys think of that?
Oh, and I'm reloading it right now. More doc bullet
It's
points.
it's got a lot of interesting information in it. What do you think, Les?
Actually, the newest one he just sent me on the Wentworth doc, I haven't looked at yet. Actually, I was trying to look at it on my phone, and because it's zipped, it won't open. I have to go through my computer and actually pick it up. But so, holographic, are we sounding okay on YouTube? Steph?
Was I supposed to be
Takes her a
listening
minute.
on YouTube?
No, I was just saying.
Actually, we don't know if you were or not. Would you mind checking it out real quick to
Sure.
see how it sounds? Thank
Thanks.
you.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to assume.
Oh, that's okay.
Just don't do it again. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, dude. You're gonna get your ass kicked here in a minute.
Okay.
All right. Let me go to your bullet. Here we go. Here's your bullet points on the Miller doc.
So, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to be going over the bullet points tomorrow night, and I'm probably going to just shoot questions off of that.
Okay. Okay. What have you done figured out what the bullet points are? Or is that what we're going to discuss now?
That's what I was hoping that we could discuss right now. It's
Okay,
basically
'cause I've got a mess of it.
Okay. Yeah, it's basically the outline of the Miller doc itself.
Okay. Well, when I'm looking at this, it just looks like the Miller document itself.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on for a second.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's what I thought it was. It's just the Miller document.
Yeah, I'm not seeing bullet points on it.
Really?
Yeah, there's a Word file. And all I see is the actual Miller document itself. I don't really see any other writing on it.
Well, like I said,
I think there was Dave, was there something with the Wentworth on it also?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I saw something with the Wentworth. I don't even know if is that a woman or a man? You know,
they seem to think that Wentworth is a woman.
I think called her a woman, but I don't know if it was a woman.
I think Wentworth was a woman.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah. The one that I sent you guys, it should say Miller Doc bullet points.
Okay. I'm looking at my actual mail right now, so it'll give that to me in a second.
Okay, because I sent both.
So
I sent two of them. I sent
right.
one that said Bigfoot Miller Doc, and then the other one just says Miller Doc bullet points.
That's what I'm getting right now is the bullet point one. Hold on. Okay, here we go. I think. If it'll open the hell up, that is.
Damn, it's actually warm in here in California. I gotta turn on the air. Hang on, I'll be right back.
All right. How warm is it in California right now?
I think he's kept me wait for a second. Let's.
Yeah. Actually, the bullet points looks pretty good. From what I see, the bullet point. Okay, the first one, he died in 2005. Has no children, relatives who live except the grandmother.
All right.
The friend did, he brought up as a point. He had a friend transcribe it. Following was written by Dr. H.A. Miller.
Right.
Okay. Born in England.
Yeah,
born in New England, December 12th. Yeah, I had written that down. December, 12/12/1909. Undergraduate studies focused on forestry and land management. Well, in his junior and senior year, he was employed by the federal government. Now, this is something that Dave brought up that's very interesting, and I can't believe I did not think of this. Because I perused the document several times, I really didn't go in depth on it. And when we were listening to the show last night, and we were going back and forth on the Miller document, this came up. He worked for Lockwood Farm. It's part of the Connecticut Agricultural Experimental Station.
Right.
Now, and he not only that, but he also helped. One of the other points was, let's see, that he early experiments determined that DNA is the component of chromosomes where genetics should be studied. What if Lockwood Farms and he started the whole creation of genetically modified food?
Yeah. See, that's why I truly believe that Dr. Miller was groomed for the study of Bigfoot, by the government. Because you've got the time that he spent at Harvard and Yale, and I believe that the government knew that they had these creatures in existence, but I don't think they just knew what to do with them. They didn't know what they were yet, at this time, and they were needing someone to figure it out.
About it.
And he was the one they figured,
Because he went originally to Yale, I think, I think it was Yale first. He graduated with forestry science, a master of science in forestry. He went to work for Lockwood Farm, which was a Department of the Interior or USDA Forest Service farm. Basically, Lockwood Farm, Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station. Maybe during that time, they had him go back to school because, you know, I wonder, even Teddy Roosevelt talked about, had a story about a Bigfoot encounter. You know, while he was out hunting, he heard howls. And I'm sure you've heard that story that Teddy Roosevelt wrote down in one of his memoirs.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe they knew this thing was around, you know, because of what he specialized in, orthopedic forensic surgery. You know, I don't think, this doesn't make sense to me that he'd be using it to find out what, you know, firemen and forestry workers died of accidentally.
Well, that's me. You know, why is he in that position? You know, and what sense does it make that he would even be have anything to do with someone that died, you know, working in the forestry and, you know, in that industry?
Right.
You know,
were they starting?
Why would he even be a part of that?
Were they starting to get people that were either showing up, you know, torn apart, or?
That's right, Les. Yes.
Were they starting to find, you know, forestry workers or people that worked for the National Park System? You know, that's when they noticed people started going missing. They started finding clothes neatly stacked in places. They found, you know, all this weird stuff, and they literally needed someone to go look at that dead body. I think he was the first of his kind.
Yep. I agree with you, Les. They had something on their hands that they didn't know what, you know, they couldn't figure it out, and they didn't know what it was. You know, because back then, Les, you had a lot of those forestry workers, you know, that stayed out in the forest for weeks on end, you know,
Months.
in towers, you know, watching for forest fires. You know, they would just sit there basically for weeks on end with a radio and a set of binoculars.
Right.
And would, you know, sit in these huge, I mean, really tall, basically cabins on stilts that were,
Yeah,
you know,
I still
know,
see them around.
150 foot tall.
Yeah, or 200 feet tall, made out of iron.
Right.
And they'd sit there watching for forest fires.
Right.
For
and
months
was
at a
something
time.
happening to these workers.
They still have people that do that, dude. And actually, I remember not too long ago, I think Wes brought up a story where a woman who had been doing that for years ended up missing.
Yep.
One rode
Now,
in.
Can you imagine what some of those people have seen out there?
I can only imagine. But what was that? What were you going to say, Dave?
Hey, what I wanted to bring up is when we actually talk about this on the show tomorrow night, we want to kind of give an idea of where the information came from, and also, like you wrote those names down. You wanted to give credit to the people who put it together.
Yeah.
That way, when you guys talk and you like you know, you just mentioned Wes. If someone was, you know, if we didn't mention that at the beginning of the show, people are going to be like,
"Oh, of course we're going to." Yeah, that's why I said I wanted to do a shout out. The first thing we're going to do is, you know, this information would not be available to us without Sasquatch Chronicles, you know, owned and operated by, you know, the podcast Sasquatch Chronicles, who is operated by Wes Germer, and his bloggers, who researched and found the document to begin with on Linda Perry's website, and they only give the first names of who these people are, but I think, you know, Tracy, Joe, Chris, Mark, and Pam are the names that he named, and I wrote those down. So I think I've always thought it was a good idea, regardless, to at least give credit where credit is due.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it's just, it'll help the audience understand, you know, who Wes is, who Linda is, that kind of thing, when you guys bring them up during the show.
Now, yeah, the first thing we should probably do, Steve, is we'll bring up, this information came to us. You and I listen to Sasquatch Chronicles on a regular basis and kind of follow the blogs. And this came up a couple of weeks ago, and the document was pulled off Linda M. Perry's Bigfoot Ballyhoo website, and has been sitting there for several years, at least since 2012, I believe. I wrote that down, and was brought to the forefront and brought to Wes Germer's attention, who is the, and I'll go on from there. Basically, I don't have to say it all right now, but
No.
we'll do a basic explanation of where it
you
came
take
from.
care of that, Les.
Okay, I can do that.
You take care of that, first thing right off the bat.
Yeah, and I think it's only right that we do that. And we can bring it up, after we do a break or two, after the first hour, we can re-synapse if people, or rehash, to make sure everybody, we've mentioned it several times, we don't want them to think we're stealing it.
This is
Right.
This is going to be.
And then
a
that way,
very
if people
long
catches, that jumps in, if somebody didn't catch the beginning of the show,
That's right. That's right. Exactly.
they jump in,
We'll redo it.
a quarter way, they know what we're talking about.
That's right. After the second break, probably when we're in our second hour, we can kind of like do a brief synopsis of what we've already gone over.
Guys, this is going to probably take up the whole show. So what we're going to do is we're going to just, open the show, go through my spiel, and
Right.
we're going to get right into it because this
No news or beyond the bullshit.
Oh, yeah, because
Yeah.
we're not even halfway, we're just into two little pieces already,
Yeah. It's going to take
See how much time we've already spent.
right.
Yeah.
If we have any extra time, I guess we can take, questions, or we can take phone calls or whatever. But truthfully, dude, I think it's going to take up the whole show. Dude, you and I, just listening to the show last night, it took us, 3 hours to get through that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were on the phone for 2 hours and 40 minutes last night.
No, I'm talking about just Dave and myself listening to the show. We had to pause it several times and talk during it. It took us another
got to
3
listen.
hours to
Oh,
get
right.
through it.
Podcast, Steve. That was a really awesome podcast.
Should we mention Mark from Crypto Reality too, since he did the podcast with him?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. We need to mention him as well, because he was part of the podcast.
Okay.
That's what I was saying, Les.
Yeah, I think you said that to me last night, and I thought better of it, just in case it does belong to Crypto Reality. I know he showed it on Sasquatch Chronicles, but he said, in the very end, you mentioned, is this Crypto Reality, or is this his show? And I'm like, it might be. Just so we don't step on any toes. Well, that's the last thing.
That's right.
I say just give everybody credit that put it together. Why not?
Exactly.
That's right.
It doesn't hurt to add names. It really doesn't. So, I don't think these people even know we exist, dude. But hey, if one of them runs across it one day, looking for a Bigfoot subject, and it pops up, and they say Miller Doc, last thing we want is first thing we want them to hear is we're giving credit where credit is due. So.
Yeah.
And we need to, I guess one thing we also need to make sure of is we need to make sure everybody realizes that we're not doing this to steal. We're doing this because we want as many people as possible to look into it. And also remember, they did a shout out and they asked for help.
Yes.
So,
That's correct.
There you go. That's
we
good.
can also
Good point.
make, do a little mention of, hey, these people on Sasquatch Chronicles, they are asking for help vetting this document. So if you want to go join their forum, you can go to Sasquatch Chronicles and their website and try to help them out. There you go.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. We definitely want to do this format just like what we were doing earlier, we can go over this document, and basically what you guys are I'm gonna do is just sit back, let you and Steve talk about the document, and remember, when one person is speaking, give the other person like 2 or 3 seconds after you're done talking, so it's kind of a signal too to let them know that, okay, I'm ready for you to talk. That way we can get rid of the dead air and that kind of thing.
Or either that, just at the end, you could add a "What do you think, Les? What do you think, Steve? What do you think, Dave?" That way it cues the other person to come in. But that's a good idea. You should at least wait you don't want too much dead air, but you should wait a couple of seconds. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
If not, I'll be stepping all over Les.
We might end up doing that a couple of times, Steve, but that's okay. We're both nice. We both don't mind shutting up for the other person, so there we go.
It's all good.
Oh, yeah. Because I get excited when I start talking about this. I do. I get excited. I can't help it.
This is a really great find, you guys. I really want to point that out. For some reason, last night you were telling me that you didn't think I wanted to hear the podcast, but and it was actually the reverse. I was really wanting to hear the podcast.
No, I just didn't know if you wanted to hear it while I was on at the same time. I just, I didn't know if I'm sorry I couldn't get it for you to listen to on your own. But
no, that's fine.
But actually, I had more fun doing it together than.
Sure.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah. It was definitely better that way, because then we were able to look at the points and pause and listen and even go back over, and yeah, that's kind of why it took 3 hours.
Now
we were doing a lot of that.
Your job tomorrow, Dave, is going to be just as important as ours, because you got to understand, Steve and I can go off topic very, very easily when it comes to Bigfoot and start going all over the place, dude. So use your bullet points and interrupt if you have to, and say, hey, and bring up that bullet point to bring us back on track. Because we may we may end up on Neptune if we don't watch out.
Sure. No, I understand.
If we want to get all this information out tomorrow, which is going to be hard, we're going to have to stay focused, if you know what I mean.
Let's keep that focus. Let's keep that in mind, that this is what we have to get out, and we only have 2 hours to do it with the breaks, as a matter of fact.
So actually, we have an hour and 45 minutes.
I'd say an hour and 45 minutes. Each break is probably about between 3 and 4 minutes.
Right. So we do a break, Steve, about every half hour. So I'll be watching the clock, and around the time we're supposed to head over, I know Dave will be, saying, it's time for a break. So we probably won't do the first 15-minute break tomorrow night. What do you think, Dave? We'll just do it at 30 minutes? Oh,
no. That's the way it's going to be from now on. I want to do that every half hour, even at the beginning of the show. So, yeah, we're gonna start off. And when we do, when we do go to break, I'm just definitely going to just cue it up like this.
All right.
And then that way you guys know that
it'll be nice and low. And that'll cue us, Steve, at any time, okay?
And then we'll be right back after this.
Do you hear that, Steve?
Yes, sir.
Okay. He'll start it really low, and then he'll start making it louder to, say, for us to shut the hell up, it's time for break.
Well, it's not exactly...
to get our shit out.
Exactly. Yeah. That was it. Just it gives us enough time. It's low enough for us to just finish our comment or whatever we're talking about, and then I can just come right out and say, all right, we're gonna go to break. We'll be right back right after this. Hang on and don't go away. And then boom. And then let it go. And then we come back and we bring it back and say we're talking about the Bigfoot Miller document. Blah blah blah. We're here with Steve Les. And yada yada. So.
So Steve, that means we get a break at 9:30, 10, and 10:30. our time.
Yes, 3
Okay.
breaks.
So, you know, in other words, run and go wee wee and run back.
Or like Les does, he just pees in the
How
cup.
long is that? How long is that break though, Dave?
It's between 3 and 4 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're pretty lengthy breaks. They're all under 5 minutes. So you can expect to run, go do what you gotta do, come back, get a glass of water or whatever, come back. Yeah, it's I think it's long enough.
I generally set all my shit up before the show. You know, I get myself a big glass of tea or whatever, and have everything I need in the area, so I don't have to like get up and go during the breaks. I just run to the bathroom if I have to.
Actually, Les has a bucket to pee in.
I do not.
You got one of them.
I love you.
You got a Folgers can.
Yeah, it makes that tingy noise.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That's hilarious, dude.
Hey,
No, I
got
got a couple. Actually, I got a couple mason jars in the second bedroom. I can always use one of those.
There you go.
It just won't be the same when I keep
Sounds
the
like
shine
my
in.
old man when we'd go on vacation.
Oh yeah. Or especially when you're driving for long distances. I'm just joking. I'll stop.
No, you're not. All men pee in a cup. That's why you buy a wide mouth bottle before you drive anywhere.
Gotta have it.
All men have done that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Especially when you're younger, and the last thing you want to do is freaking stop.
Yeah, you want to get there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, especially when you're making really good time, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Last thing you want to do is, or you can't find a service station. I mean, that's the cool thing. Us guys can go just about anywhere. I remember my dad was like a Nazi when it came to stopping for pee breaks, and he'd have like one of those little kiddie toilets in the back. So, the girls could go in that if they had to.
Oh, now that's preparation. That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, not that my mom or either one of my sisters enjoyed that, but,
Of course not. You got to do what
when
you
you
got to
have kids, I'm sure especially young kids, it's, hey, if you don't want to have to stop every hour, you think of it. That way you could dump it later. But, anyway. Man, I can't wait. This is going to be... Dude, these bullet points are awesome, by the way. I'm reading through them.
I was hoping you like that. Hey, Steph, did you happen to get a copy of the bullet points that I sent to Les and to Steve?
Yes, I have them in front of me.
What do you think of them? Are they pretty good or?
Yes, they're very good.
Okay, good. All right, awesome.
No, actually, because it very easily synopses. It very easily, that's why you call them bullet points. I mean, you basically took the whole document and turned it into into bullet points. And actually, I can go down. Steve and I, Steve, you and I can go down this as we're going. So just in case we wander a little bit, we can always jump back.
Right.
You have a printer you can print it out with? Steve?
Do I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can print them. I can print them out tomorrow before the thing. I don't have it, with me right now.
No, that's fine. I was just saying, eventually, if you want to print it out, that way you have it in front of you.
Yeah. Well, what I had done is I'd looked at the bullet points and then I wrote on a piece of paper, my I call them my cheat sheet here is basically what I want to talk about the bullet points.
Okay, I gotcha. Because, like, some of the stuff that I wrote down last night, Dr. Miller, 92 when he died. He was born on 12/12/09. I put on here, go over his education. Why is he doing forestry and forensic orthopedics and not veterinary medicine or animal biology? How long has the government known about Bigfoot? That's a question I want to go over.
Those are good questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I put down when I
looked at. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was actually that was Les. Go ahead, Les.
No, Steve, please finish your thought.
I want to talk about the 20-year plan that they mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely want to get into the rapid regeneration process that is supposedly going on with these things.
Mm-hmm.
Want to talk about the difference in this new world and old world monkey, so that we kind of get everyone listening understanding what they're meaning by that.
Right.
That meaning that the new world monkey was here. That this is the new, that the United States is the new world, is considered the new world.
Correct.
And the old world would be basically something from Europe, that would have had to cross the land bridge to get here.
Right. Exactly. What they're saying basically is Bigfoot is a New World monkey that crossed over and is now on the European continent.
Right. Right. So if anything is over there, it had to come from North America.
Mm-hmm. But the other thing, guys, that I also want to get into is like what Steve was bringing up as far as the regeneration process.
I put that down too.
How is this this New World monkey able to regenerate?
And we kind of went over that last night, Dave. You think about something that's anywhere from 8 foot to 12 feet tall, can generally run a mile in what sometimes people say less than a minute. You got to wonder.
So long.
Yeah, I mean, there's people who say basically, like I was telling Dave last night, Steve, they've got ones that are, 4 feet across at the shoulder, 12 feet high, and, you got to think these things walk through blackberry bushes and berry bushes which have huge thorns. To them, does this mean, they can walk through it and a scratch basically be gone in a day or even minutes?
Well, see that, and it all kind of boils back again to how long has the government knew, and because we can go a million different directions, Les, with this.
Dude, write this down, Dave.
Gotcha.
You're going to have all this genetic stuff.
Dude, think about it.
Did the government knew and keep this? And one reason they're trying to keep this secret is not just because of the forestry industry. Not just because of the economic impact.
Super
it's
soldiers.
Because they found something that was genetically, basically a masterpiece. That is capable of doing things way, way, better than we are, and is regenerating itself from injuries, or were they trying to figure out how to apply that into the human species?
You were going exactly where my mind was going, Steve.
So then you get to talk about some crazy stuff. Then you look at the super soldier theory.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going. We can. Me and Les can take his thing to far left field.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you're gonna have to probably rein us in, Dave.
I will. I will do that, but at the same time, these are the questions that need to be looked at and they need to be asked, because you're right. How long did the government know about this? Because we can go back to the beginning, like you guys were saying, and just like Wes and Mark were saying on the podcast, this guy was groomed to do this. He was basically trained, pointed in this direction specifically for this creature. and for the different species.
Yeah, along with the efforts of several other scientists, led to the discovery of the double helix structure of DNA in the early 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
He was a geneticist before geneticists were even around. Can you imagine what he quite possibly did in this lab in Colorado with these bodies?
Who knows what went on in that lab?
That's why I think that the government was trying to take the advances of this creature and apply them into the genetics of humans.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree.
I mean,
Better and
I
stronger
truly
faster.
believe that. And when you look at this document and you see what he, studied at Harvard and Yale, it basically is a blueprint that this is, that's what the government was trying to do. And did they, at any time, they talk in the document, it talks about the animal not living in captivity. Were they able to figure out how to keep these animals alive in captivity so that they could have, a living organism to study? You need that living creature if you're going to continually try to do this genetic testing and push this genetic abnormality, which is an unbelievable abnormality,
Excuse me.
into the human species.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's an extremely valid point, and I think that's something we should definitely bring up at least. That's going to drive everybody crazy.
Yeah, there's so much to go on this document. It's not even funny. This isn't even only about Bigfoot, but like what we brought up earlier, this could be the pioneer, the genesis, if you will, of GMOs. There's a part in here where he says when he worked at Lockwood Farm, part of the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station, and again, you see more points like this. How many of these stations were there? There's one in Colorado. There's one in Connecticut.
California.
There's one in California. These places are all over the United States. What exactly were they doing? He says he learned about the hybridization of agriculture, and he liked to work in the cornfields. He had a great interest in the scientific workings happening with corn seed at the time. And what's one of the biggest GMOs out there right now? It's corn.
Corn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right.
And they also, in the document, they list 6 subspecies.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that they had that many, bodies that, so.
What about the bodies?
Look at the I'm sorry, Les.
No, I'm just thinking, those are just the bodies they talked about on the document. What if there were tons more that he didn't bother bringing up?
Oh, right. So, and they captured these creatures all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
Or killed them one, And I find it very strange that when he first saw the first one, he was told that it was possible feral humans from a Comanche Indian tribe.
Yep.
Why would that's, to me, that sounds just like a cover-up.
Yeah, this could be he could be the forefather of genetic experimentation in America.
Well, and
I truly believe there's far more information on this guy. If there's this document, and he did what we are assuming that he did with the genetics and the testing and stuff, there is far more documentation and information somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
It just needs to be found. There's something if he was able to, to write this down, there's other. So where's his papers at? There's got to be.
I'd love to find out what he
something.
did during World War II.
Yeah,
Correct. You're right, Les.
This is such a vague document when it comes to his life, his over time. I mean, we go from 1909 all the way up to 2005. And I mean, the document itself is a long ass document, or as they were saying on the podcast, a memoir, or a diary entry, but or a letter. But the who knows how much more documentation there is out there on his studies and the experiments. And my personal opinion about this, guys, is this creature, this Bigfoot, was definitely made way before the doctor even graduated from high school.
Mm-hmm.
It was already out there. What they wanted to do was bring him in so he could study what this animal was.
And others, it looks like.
And yeah, exactly.
Right. There are a lot of others.
Right. But my point is they were out there way before the doctor even got into his master's of science in forestry.
Remember, the Department of Interior and the Forestry Service, they think of everything as a resource.
Mm-hmm.
Money. What could they and they treated they are treating or they treated Bigfoot back then like a resource. What could they gather from the species? And if this document,
they definitely had to be doing some studying.
Yeah, and if this document is what it is, it literally could be a door to open the way to disclosure for everything. Because you disclose Bigfoot, get people to believe that there's actually a Bigfoot, the sky's the limit after that.
I agree. I agree with you, Les. If it comes out and it's on mainstream media, hey, we've discovered this new primate species that's been with us for X amount since whenever, the next thing you're going to see is extraterrestrials.
What else have they been hiding from
does this universe hold?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it opens up the whole box, the whole entire
Pandora's box.
And and you can't just crack the box and let a little bit of it out.
Excuse me.
And hope to close the box again. Once you crack the lid on that box, it's open.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But
remember, we are broadcasting.
Yeah. Oops.
Just want to put it out there. Well, if you have to go, then that's understandable. Well, I think we can reconvene tomorrow before the show if there's anything else we need to go over. I'm going to go back and actually turn some of these bullet points into questions for both of you. So what my job is going to be not only to keep us on topic, but to also throw out some of these questions about the subject matter.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think we're ready to do the show. I mean, it's.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we'll do more than fine.
Yeah. Shit, man, we might even just go over a half hour if we have to. I'm serious.
If we have to, if it's still interesting by the time we reach the end of the 2 hours and we still have shit to talk about, I don't see why not. Pardon my language.
I don't think that's going to be a problem at all, man. This is just so fascinating. It's incredible. And not only that, I already saw K28 on there. He was bringing up a point about Bear in the Twitterverse. That Bear had some Bigfoot encounters, and that he might actually like to call in. So maybe like
Oh, cool.
if we have the last half hour or 15 minutes, we can take a couple of calls, and I definitely want to hear other people's experience too.
Right.
Oh yeah, anybody that wants to tell about a sighting, I'm down with hearing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, if it comes down to it, maybe we can, if we, maybe the last half hour we can take a few calls, or we can take actual questions.
yeah. I mean,
You know,
as long as
hey-
you guys are okay with going over, I don't mind going over.
That's up to
10,
Steve
15
because he's got to
minutes.
work the next day. So I mean, it's from 9
Exactly.
to 11.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to. I'm just saying, if it's, everything's going smoothly, we can go like 10 minutes over, and then call it a night after that. But this is just such a fascinating topic, and this, it just doesn't seem like it's going to be enough time. But we'll do the best we can. We'll do the best we can. So I guess with that, you guys, if you guys want to, go ahead and do what you guys got to do. It's fine. I know you got to go, Les.
Yeah.
That's a key right there. That'll be for the end of the show tomorrow night.
All right, cool deal, gentlemen. I'll speak at you tomorrow.
All right.
All right, Steve.
Talk to you guys tomorrow.
Brother.
You guys have a good night, okay?
Have a good evening.
All right.
Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Good night, Steve. Good night,
Night,
Dave.
Steve.
Good night, Steph.
Good night, you guys.
Good night.